are resumes still important? Surely we've got to a point now where you don't need a resume and you can just go online with your profiles that we just talked about.
It's been a little while since we talked about this, but we did have a segment similar that talked about this for some time. About do I really need a resume anymore in electronic formats and all that. And I think given the lack of consolidation in the industry, even though there has been some, there's no standardized electronic format resume. There's no like LinkedIn profiles, probably about as close as you get. But again, most recruiters, from what I understand, like that's an addition to your resume. It's not a replacement. And so the short version is, yes, you still need a resume.
You do need a resume. And resumes aren't just important for that initial part of the process. Also, if you've been in a business for a while and you've ever interviewed people, resumes play an important part of that whole process. And I'm still somebody, and I probably shouldn't do this, that prints a resume off if I'm going to interview somebody.
It's nice to take notes on
the resume.
It's kind of nice.
Because if you're in a search and you've met with a number of people, it is, even though the electronic systems have a lot of those features built in, it's nice to sit and take notes in real time. And I actually think during the course of that interview, virtual or not virtual, writing down notes on a piece of paper feels better than typically typing on a computer during an interview.
I would agree, even despite me not really wanting, because I don't like not doing things electronically, because then I can't go back to them later. I like saving everything. Not hoarding, but ability to go back to that. But yeah, there is something about writing on the piece of paper when you're talking to somebody that's hasn't been replaced, in my opinion.
It is.
Let me pause for a second and ask our esteemed hamster team to stage the link that I sent to Mark in Teams some time ago. There's a website we need to bring up that will help enhance this conversation.
Excellent. Very good.
And I think you'll appreciate it.
Okay, very good. So let's talk a little bit about some really basic stuff which makes a big difference.
Yes.
Should you name your resume file resume?
No, we've also, I somehow think that we talked about this before. No, you should not name it resume. You should name it first last dash year or quarter or something like that is what I typically do. If you don't want to get too specific, you could just put the year on there, would be good. That also helps you, and it's helped me in the past too when I'm like, is this my latest? And you can quickly see that. Obviously you can open it up. But yeah, definitely, first last resume.
Yep.
Year, a few pieces of metadata. Think about that. That would be a good thing to do.
And I'm a very cool developer, and I want to push the boundaries of what's possible. So I'm going to send you my resume in an XML format for you to parse. Should I do that?
No, you should not. I mean, I think there's, people do, we talked about having your own website and link to that and having little Easter eggs on there where the stuff's in the code. I think there's some, depending on, again, what you're applying to, you could do some of those things, but you should have the ability to send a PDF. And I've heard that you should get it in DocX Word format as well. But I would highly recommend having a very clean, simple resume in a PDF format. 2 pages max. Again, if Sergey Brin can get $1 billion a year job at Google with a 1-page resume, you too can put your resume on 1 page. So highly recommend 1 to 2 page PDF resume ready to go with a nice name on it for your job search. And that's probably, I would say that's step 1. Other than step 1 in your job search is deciding that you're looking for jobs.
Yes.
Step 2 should be doing what I just said.
Yes. And then some years ago, I invested in an interactive Flash-based resume that's still on my website.
Yeah.
And the recruiter says they can't see it. That's more their problem than mine, right?
No, if you're doing anything related to the web industry and you're still trying to push Flash, that would be a signal to me as a hiring manager that you have no idea what you're doing and you shouldn't be hired at my company.
Fine.
Given that the industry has made a concerted effort to get rid of all things Flash over the last 5 to 10 years.
But I spent $6,000 on that.
Yeah, well,
okay.
People spend a lot of money on a lot of things.
Fine.
Kanye spent $57 million on his Malibu house that he completely gutted and is sitting there empty concrete structure that's rotting away.
That was the look he was going for. Deconstructed.
That's what I heard. But
modernism.
Yeah, he's not living in it right now. So apparently tried to live in the pump room or something like that for the pool for one night, and that was it.
Cheery.
Yeah.
All right, the link is ready, as they say. So
The link is ready. All right.
So,
To enhance our conversation here about relevant resumes, best practices for showcasing resumes, I decided to say, well, let's have something to contrast
this
against.
looks excellent.
Yes,
so,
and
okay.
you are going to love these
All right,
resumes. So we're
okay.
just gonna there's good advice on here, but
All
I
right.
think I'm more interested in the examples they have, such as my little crazy resume. So I think as I tried to find ones that seem like they were probably real resumes. I mean, somebody put some time into this My Little Pony resume, which you can see has their GPA. So definitely don't do this. I don't know if it's really worth dissecting this that much. I would say probably don't do this.
But isn't Joseph going to stand out from the
I mean,
rest
if you're
of the
applying
crowd?
to the content creation team for My Little Pony, I'm not going to go into any details about why someone would do this. I know why someone would do
I'm
this.
loving
and
this resume.
And I'm not going to say anything else about why someone would do this. And it's not because they wanted to join the My Little Pony team and Netflix. Anyways,
what's the name of adult men that like
bronies. Yeah,
Is Joseph a brony?
That's where we're going. Yeah. Okay.
All right,
So moving on to the next one. This one, it's a picture of a piece of paper. I mean, somebody could have just made this up, but it's quite amusing. I don't know if we can zoom in a little bit so we can actually
you know
read
what
it here.
happened here clearly, and I'm sure there's a better story behind this. Is they understood that having a picture on your resume, which, by the way, you shouldn't include, is important. They didn't have access to a camera, so they photocopied their face on a photocopy machine, and that is what came out. They then took the photocopy, shrunk it down, and appended it, and then photocopied their resume again on there. So,
Yep. Get ready to get blown away by Ricky Santangelo.
yeah.
If you scroll down, it says he was born in the middle of a tornado, and I don't think I've ever seen tornado spelled with an E, and now I really like that.
He was given a 75% chance to live. So, fair enough.
Yep. Move over, Tom Cruise.
All right. I like the highlighting too as well.
Yep.
All right. This
White
is
snake.
back
Lots
to
of cursing. So the thing here is that creepy picture and lots of cursing, not good for your resume.
no, not creepy picture, cursing, not good for your resume. I would agree with that.
Yeah.
So, all right, okay. Baby boss resume. Is this someone who's coming out of? What's the context
perhaps,
for this?
No matter how cute you looked as a baby, putting your baby photo on a resume
I
is
see, yes,
inappropriate.
I see, yeah.
So don't do that.
I do agree having your a professional picture here. Just one more thing. Scrolled up again a little bit, and I know this is all public information because it's on a blog somewhere. Let's just talk about what's at the top of the resume here real quick. I actually think that you should keep two versions of your resume. One version that has a phone number and an email address that you're comfortable sharing, and that should be used with a smaller selection of opportunities. That is direct, applies to large companies and trusted recruiters. And then I would highly recommend that you keep another version of your resume that has your phone number off, that's a bit more general, that you use for more generalist sites. And that way you have the ability to control communication a little better. Yep. All right, skills. Public speaking.
Negotiation. There's not. I think this is just a generic template to prove the point. That we'll keep moving. There's not much here, but that was a good.
That's a good one.
All right, drug dealer's resume. So what you should not put on your resume. Intuitive understanding of supply and demand economics. Good with money. Ran my own delivery service.
Do you think that they put this on there just to see if anyone was paying attention?
Possibly.
I mean, they were a small business owner, so
I think they're trying to
hashtag sarcasm.
Yeah.
And then I like this one: gained intimate access to several very exclusive county jails.
Yeah, lots of odd capitalization there. I'd watch that.
Yeah.
So okay, we can keep going. That was a good one.
What's this?
This one caught
Cinnamon
my eye.
word
I would
art
say.
resume.
Yeah. So don't use
Keep your font standard.
Yeah.
I mean, I gotta say, my hobbies, and it is tempting to use some of that word art technology inside your word processor.
Don't do that. Yeah.
This looks like someone who may be newer in their career, given that they were a high school and then they worked at Chuck E. Cheese.
Yes.
Fair enough.
Yep. So
All right.
don't
do that.
Yeah, don't use any of the word art. Don't leave. And then next one is don't leave standard template text.
Place your text here. Delete this text heading if you don't
Yeah.
need them.
Yes. Don't leave those on your resume.
All work and no play.
Yes. Yep. All right.
Yep.
There's a few more here. Hire me or die resume. I graduated in 2005. I tried to get into college, but decided that I didn't really want to do that. College is for people who aren't self-starters. I am a self-starter. It's fair.
Fair enough. Where's the hire me? Is it hire me
at the bottom? At the bottom, yeah. Yeah.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
You could call
Eager.
my dad or my mum. Also, my best friend Amy. She knows me really well. You could call my ex. We just broke up last weekend.
It's
I
quite a
chat
little
with this
story here at the end. Yes.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah. So keep it relevant and on topic, and don't put a bunch of desperate information in your resume. Is the advice here?
I can type really good, like wicked fast. I think that this is another good example where you do need to get someone's third-party perspective on what you're putting in there, because it might seem like a good idea at the time.
Right, during a drunken stupor at night or something like that.
Here's the other really good top tip, which we talked about before. Thank goodness for ChatGPT. Honestly, just use that. It'll help you a million times.
Yeah, it will. It'll critique your resume.
Okay, I'm the best in the world at, and then there's a whole list of things. So I've talked about this on the stream before. I once interviewed an MBA candidate who, on their resume, had put that they had constructed a electron scanning microscope. And the colleague I was with, who was probably a bit of a savant, knew the exact algorithm for the positioning of an electron microscanning the head, how to position the head against the atoms. And he asked the student, just write down the math algorithm that gives the head distance there. And this poor student could not answer that question. Yes. It was very embarrassing. And the interview went completely south. Yeah. So I agree with that. Be careful what you put on your resume, because if you get called on it, it's going to get very uncomfortable.
I can't tell if this is a joke or not, but it does seem relatively real. Many may assume this resume belongs to a crazy person, but I value genuine expression and honesty over blindly following the crowd. And in some cases, I think that might be a negative. I don't know if I'd open with that, especially the experience in 2007 is not something that needs to be on a resume. That's not necessarily relevant to your job search. Well, maybe it is, but
I think the reason why it goes back that far is because the first item on the resume there in 2007, he feels that's important to include as a sort of anchor for the rest of his life.
I think that's really sets the tone.
It does set the tone. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yep. Stay modest. Yes.
References unavailable because they were all burned up in a fire.
Yes. Wrote lots of articles, took excellent photographs, won Pulitzer Prize, and donated to charity. Yeah. Education. Wow.
This is kind of junk. So.
Yeah. Okay. All right. We're moving on. I think there's one more. Clumsy hands resume.
And we do have a comment in the chat here saying that the individual wishes these were the resumes they were competing against
when you apply to. Yeah, that's fair.
I do agree.
I mean, chances are you are, but you just they get filtered out by the ATS.
Now I have to say, PlayStation 3 and Good with Hands, in the context of some of the jobs that we have seen, which specifically say that you need
lift
hands,
50 pounds,
and that you need hands.
It is a
this
skill.
Isn't bad, actually.
Yep.
I mean, this could hit the mark.
So
again, I think it's some context there, depending on what you're doing. So.
Okay, and I don't know if there's anything else, so we can